What's up YouTube, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and in this video we're going to be doing a detailed speed test between the OnePlus 5 and the Samsung Galaxy S8. So in the usual style, we'll be doing a bunch of tests, everything from fingerprint scanners to the camera launch to standard apps to games, and then finishing off with RAM management. Now the S8 version I have here is the Snapdragon version, so we do have the same processors on both devices, but the OnePlus 5 does have 8GB of RAM compared to 4GB of RAM on the S8, and this will be very interesting to see how much it helps in the RAM management test. Now both devices have been updated to the latest software version available. We do have a slightly newer version of Android on the OnePlus 5 compared to the S8, and although the S8 does have a higher resolution Quad HD, for this test I am switching it to Full HD just to make things as fair as possible. So starting off with the fingerprint scanners, now the positioning of these, I do prefer the positioning of the OnePlus 5. The S8 is slightly awkward, but looking at just speed alone, it was slightly faster on the OnePlus 5. We can slow this down and you can see that the OnePlus 5 did unlock faster compared to the S8. Now doing this test again from the lock screens, and here I think the S8 just edged it, so it was ever so slightly quicker, but very close here. Now for the camera launch, both of these have a quick shortcut, which is double pressing the power button. Now testing these out, that was pretty much neck and neck. Let's slow this down. You can see that we do have a bit of an animation fade on both of these, but they were pretty much neck and neck. Now moving on to the apps, you can see we've got nothing else open, and we are going to start with the calculator just to see if it stays open, and we're going to do a simple equation. Let's leave that open in the background. Let's go on to Chrome. And we are going to be going onto the BBC News website just because there's no adverts on there, and it will make the test as fair as possible. And that was pretty much neck and neck, maybe a fraction of a second quicker on the OnePlus 5. Let's open an article. Once again, almost the same, maybe a fraction of a second quicker on the S8 there, but very close. Let's look at Twitter. Once again, the same, maybe a fraction of a second quicker on the OnePlus 5. The home screen was the same. Notifications, maybe a fraction of a second quicker on the OnePlus 5. This is very close so far. Let's look at Instagram. Maybe a fraction of a second quicker on the S8 when the image did load up from Armando. And moving on to my profile, pretty much neck and neck, maybe a fraction of a second quicker on the OnePlus 5. And the image opened at the same time. Looking at YouTube, there's some different content on here, so we can't take this test into consideration. And it took me some time finding a video that didn't have any adverts. Eventually I came to this NASA one, which was pretty much the same. Almost a draw so far, and now let's try to move on to some games. So we do have this timer here, which is going to tell us exactly how long each of these take. And we are starting off with Angry Birds 2. And that finished just over half a second quicker on the OnePlus 5, so this is very close. Now moving on to Sonic Dash. That was faster on the S8, that's interesting, and the OnePlus 5 comes in a couple of seconds later. Now we'll play the game, we'll leave it open in the background. Let's move on to Mario Run. And a fraction of a second quicker on the OnePlus 5. Let's play the game. And that came up a fraction of a second quicker on the S8. So let's have a look at Subway Surfers. That was slightly quicker on the S8. Let's play the game and let's move on to Dead Trigger 2. Intro screen does come up first on the OnePlus 5, but the S8 follows very quickly after. This is probably the closest speed test that I've ever done on the channel. Both are doing really well and are very close. Now let's see which one of these loads up. Again, a fraction of a second quicker on the OnePlus 5. This is too close to call. Now we have two more games in the test remaining, so the next one is Asphalt 8. This one does finish on the OnePlus 5 quicker, and then we have the S8 a couple of seconds later. Final game of this round, and that is Real Steel. And that does finish on the OnePlus 5 slightly quicker compared to the S8. Let's go ahead and play the game. Pretty much neck and neck there, the OnePlus 5 coming in slightly quicker. Now let's have a look at RAM management. So let's see how many of these apps are still open. Asphalt 8 in the same place, but there was this message that came up on the S8, so that's maybe why it was slightly slower last time. Dead Trigger 2 is in the same place. Subway Surfers, yep, still open. Mario Run, still open. Sonic Dash, still open. Angry Birds 2, still open on both. This is very, very interesting. Now let's go into YouTube. Aha! This does have to reload on the S8, although it is in the same place. The OnePlus 5 opened it straight away. Same with Instagram, it's there open, ready on the OnePlus 5, but it did have to reload on the S8, although it is in the same place. And Twitter, yes, we are in the notifications area, but we do have to reload on the S8. Chrome once again does have to reload on the S8. It's there ready to go on the OnePlus 5, and this is where that extra RAM is really coming into play. Calculator, I didn't press the calculator properly on the S8, so we can't really take that test into consideration. But there we have it, the detail speed test between the OnePlus 5 and the S8. A very, very interesting speed test, probably the closest speed test that I've done here on the channel. I think both were very, very fast, and some wins went to the S8, some to the OnePlus 5. But it's clear that when it comes to RAM management, the OnePlus 5 is better because you have 8 GB of RAM. So although the S8 did keep the recent games open, when it came to the apps that we had started off with, those did have to be reloaded. What did you guys think of these results? Definitely drop me a comment below. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and switch on notifications. There's plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.